Hi everyone, this is part 2 of the lecture on mammalian reproduction. Except for higher primates, all female mammals permit copulation only during a definite period of the estrus cycle. The estrus cycle of mammals is divided in 4 phases: the proestrus, estrus, metestrus, and diestrus. It is controlled by hormones secreted from the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and ovary. During proestrus, there is growth of the ovarian or Graafian follicle. The follicle secretes estrogen, which causes the endometrial wall to proliferate. Estrus begins with ovulation. It's the period of maximum female receptivity to males. The females may exhibit lordosis. The endometrial wall of the uterus reaches greatest thickness. Metestrus is characterized by the formation of the corpus luteum and secretion of progesterone. In higher primates, metestrus terminates with menstrual flow if implantation does not occur. The diestrus is characterized by the activity of the corpus luteum. There is secretion of progesterone. The cycle repeats if implantation does not occur. If implantation occurs, placenta produces chorionic gonadotrophins, which induces the corpus luteum to secrete both progesterone and estrogen to maintain pregnancy. The male reproductive system contains the external genitalia, the penis, testis, and the scrotum, and the internal parts including the prostate gland, vas deferens, and urethra. Fertility and sexual traits depend on the normal functioning of the male reproductive system, as well as the hormones released by the brain. In mammals, the baculum or os penis is a bone found in the penis of many eutherian mammals. It is absent in the human penis, but present in the penises of other primates such as the gorilla and chimpanzee, and in bats, carnivores, insectivores, and rodents. The baculum functions for additional rigidity, assist sperm transport, or induce ovulation. This is according to Lariviere and Ferguson in 2002. The largest baculum belongs to the walrus, which can reach a length of 30 inches or 75 centimeters. That's as long as a human femur. Female marsupials have 2 lateral vaginas, which lead to a separate uteri, but both open externally through the same orifice. A third canal, the central vaginal canal, is used for birth. This canal can be transitory or permanent. Some marsupial species are able to store sperm in the oviduct after mating. 4 types of uterus are generally recognized among placentals based on the relationship of the uterine horns or the branches. Higher primates have a simplex uterus in which there is no separation between the horns and thus form a single chamber. A duplex uterus characterizes most rodents. The uterine horns are completely separated and have separate cervices opening into the vagina. Carnivores have a bipartite uterus in which the horns are largely separate but enter the vagina by a single cervix. In the bicornuate uterus, typical of many ungulates, the horns are distinct for less than half their length. The lower part of the uterus is a common chamber, the body. The female spotted hyena, Crocuta crocuta, is a fascinating mammal noted for extreme masculinization of the external genitalia. This is from the paper of Cunha et al. 2014. Female spotted hyenas have normal internal genitalia composed of ovaries, oviducts, and 2 uterine horns, which merge proximally into a common uterine body. The cervix is indistinct anatomically and merges caudally into the vagina, located internally within the abdominal pelvic cavity. Immediately caudal to the vagina, the urethra joins the reproductive tract to form a urogenital sinus and continues as the central canal within a large pendulous penis-like clitoris. Although a number of other female mammals also possess a large clitoris, female spotted hyenas are the only extant mammals that mate and give birth through a clitoris. Given the presence of a pseudoscrotum, absence of an external vaginal opening, and a penile-like clitoris traversed by a urogenital sinus, it is not surprising that the distinction between the external genitalia of female and male spotted hyenas may be difficult to see. Read more on the research paper by Cunha et al. 2014, Development of the External Genitalia, Perspectives from the Spotted Hyena Crocuta crocuta, which reveals novel mechanisms of sexual differentiation and developmental processes. Among mammals, the monotremes are oviparous. The duckbill platypus, Ornithorhynchus anatinus, may have 2 eggs. For the Spina echidna, 1 egg, which hatches with the aid of an egg tooth. The young are nursed with milk through teatless mammary glands. In marsupials, there is a short gestation period wherein the young are born underdeveloped. Development continues in the pouch or marsupium for several months. The mammae have teats. In red kangaroos, there may be delayed implantation or embryonic diapause, wherein the fertilized egg develops up to the blastocyst stage and becomes dormant for a time before it is implanted. Embryonic diapause is a reproductive strategy used by approximately 100 different mammals in 7 or 8 different orders. In embryonic diapause, the embryonic blastocyst does not immediately implant in the uterus, but rather remains in a state of dormancy. Little to no development takes place while the embryo remains unattached to the uterine wall. As a result, the normal gestation period is extended for a species-specific time. Some mammals that undergo embryonic diapause includes rodents, bears, armadillos, mustelids, and marsupials. In kangaroos, up to 3 young may be maintained at any one time of its cycle. An embryo in diapause, a joey suckling in the pouch, and a joey suckling on foot. Both marsupials and eutherians have a placenta, but of considerably different structure. In marsupials, 2 extraembryonic structures, the yolk sac and the chorion, fuse through part of their extent to form the choriovitelline placenta. In eutherians, the allantoy and chorion fuse to form the chorioallantoic placenta. Although the choriovitelline placenta of the marsupial, compared to the chorioallantoic placenta of the eutherians, does not produce as many hormones to sustain itself or provide as long a period of sustenance for the developing embryo, it should not be thought of as more primitive. Rather, because the 2 kinds of placenta are formed differently, they almost certainly evolved convergently. Based on placental shape and contact points, several types may be seen. In the diffuse, almost the entire surface of the allantochorion is involved in the formation of the placenta. This is seen in horses and pigs. In the cotyledonary, multiple discrete areas of attachment called cotyledons are formed by interaction of patches of allantochorion with the endometrium. This type of placentation is observed in ruminants. In the zonary, the placenta takes the form of a complete or incomplete band of tissue surrounding the fetus. This is seen in carnivores like dogs and cats, seals, bears, and elephants. In the discoid, a single placenta is formed and is discoid in shape. This is seen in primates and rodents. Gestation is the period of time during which the fetus develops. The length of gestation varies from species to species. In the course of evolution, the duration of gestation has become adapted to the needs of the species. The degree of ultimate growth is a factor. Smaller animals usually having shorter periods of gestation than the larger ones. After a normal gestation, parturition, a unique physiological process, signifies the termination of pregnancy and the beginning of extrauterine life of the newborn. Once parturition is initiated, it must proceed to completion, and as such is difficult to interrupt or delay. It is a timed event that requires the fetus to have attained a stage of maturity that will enable it to survive extrauterine life. Oxytocin, a neurohormone, has the principal function of which are to stimulate contractions of the uterus. Parturition is also marked by increasing placental estrogen and decreasing placental progesterone, which leads to the expulsion of the fetus and the placenta. Uniparous mammals normally produce a single offspring, such as humans, bats, primates, elephants, whales, sirenians, and some ungulates. Multiparous mammals, on the other hand, produce more than one offspring, as in all carnivores, artiodactyls, most rodents, and lagomorphs. The chief function of lactation is to provide nutrition and immune protection to the young after birth. Due to lactation, the mother-young pair can survive even if food is scarce or too hard for the young to attain, expanding the environmental conditions the species can withstand. The costly investment of energy and resources into milk is outweighed by the benefit to offspring survival. In almost all mammals, lactation induces a period of infertility which serves to provide the optimal birth spacing for survival of the offspring. Various hormones stimulate the growth of the milk duct system in the breasts. Estrogen stimulates the milk duct system to grow and differentiate. During lactation, prolactin is the main factor maintaining tight junctions of the ductal epithelium and regulating milk production through osmotic balance. After birth, oxytocin contracts the smooth muscle layer of band-like cells surrounding the alveoli to squeeze the newly produced milk into the duct system. Oxytocin is necessary for the milk ejection reflex or letdown in response to suckling to occur. That's the last slide. Thank you for listening. Our Zo148 lecture ends here. I hope you learned a thing or two despite the remote learning condition. Please watch out for announcements that will be posted or emailed to you, especially on the schedule of quiz number 4, the coverage of which are homeostasis and reproduction, parts 1 and 2. Keep safe, everyone.